What up, y'all? It's your boy, One Sir Grove. This is episode 45, kind of like 495. This is episode 45 of Casting 495 Celebrities Worldwide. Because we are celebrities and we're casting. That's right. And we're casting others, people who we know, and people who we've met, and people who are in the industry and media. So this particular episode is about the homie Spank T. Spank Diesel, as we say. Spank motherfucking T, originally OG from the Riverside 151. That's the homie. I just had a long conversation with the homie. Hadn't spoken with him in a spell, man. And he's one of the he's triple OG though. That's one of the, man, that's my boy. That's my dog. That's my bloods homie right there though. The homie Spank T, man, is he's Riverside. He's a real Riverside soldier, 151, 495, since day one. Like, for real. Grew up West Coast, you know, been between the Northwest and Cali, and that's a real ride. That's a real dog right there, man. That's my boy. And Spank T, man, is 495. He's been on albums. It's Spank motherfucking T. When you see the three of us in terms of the logo, where there's Mr. Broccoli Landers, who he calls himself, aka Broke Lie. He's clown. I mean, he ain't broke. He's a baller. You know what I'm saying? But it's something that Brock came up with. Broke Lie. And aka Landers, aka Brock Lee Landers, aka Brock. The homie Brock, and Spank T and I, Spank motherfucking T, the three of us are on the Deep in Everett 495 OG album. Sendo was actually supposed to be on that album. He was supposed to be on the album cover. We're not the only four members. See, there are three members in the photo, but on that particular day, for that particular project, there are supposed to be four. And Sen was running late. He was with this female at the time. We won't go into the details, but she was tripping. And they ain't together anymore. And hindsight, he knows, you know. But back in the day, we're like, yo, man, we gonna do this shoot. It's professional, man. And, you know, and he didn't show up on time, man. So he didn't, you know, and it was fucked up. But he was supposed to be in that album cover, on that album cover, because he's on that track with us with that song. And Deep in Everett 1. And in fact, he has a major role in it. And he's like, you know, I mean, shit, man, to send the Soul Stealer verse, man, and Brock's verse and Trevor's verse, I mean, man, come on, bro. Deep in Everett 1 is the shit. So 495 just ain't the four of us. Obviously, you know, Scheme is 495, man. We all 495, man, is 495 is large. It's a big thing. It's not a small thing. It ain't just like a handful of dudes. And it extends beyond the city where we're from. You see, because 495, man, it relates to some higher energy shit. It's super symmetric mathematics, super symmetry. And I ain't even making this up. It's an alphanumeric code that we found out about. And so we integrated it into our systems of operations business. So we're originally Deep in Everett, DIE, 151, Riverside Soldiers. All right, the 151 is if you take every letter, RIVERSIDE, HOOD. If you take Riverside Hood, right, and you add it all up alphanumerically, so basically, you know, like countdown, T minus, right, okay? So ML, right, LMK, right, I. If you follow alphanumerics, man, and you understand it, then you can quickly decipher that Riverside Hood, when you add up all those letters, equals 151. So for those who don't know, look, man, T equals 20, okay? T is the 20th letter of the alphabet, right? So if you look at R and what it is, all right, and then I, what it is, being 9, right? So if you add it all up, so what comes before T? T is 20, so S is going to be 19, right? R is going to be 18. 9 is I is 9, right? V, TUV, you could easily find it from 20. T is 20, so U is going to be 21, V is going to be 22. So 22, E equals 5. You get it? So it's an alphanumeric code. Riverside Hood. Riverside Hood adds up to 151. That's why we say we're from the 151. Riverside DIE, Deep in Everett. Riverside 151. So at some point, you figure out that 495 adds up to Deep in Everett. But keep in mind, 495 ain't just Deep in Everett. 495 is something else that goes even beyond that. It just so happens that the letters of Deep in Everett alphanumerically happen to be in mathematics 495. There are other 495s in other places in other systems, and that's what I'm referring to when I say to you that it's supersymmetric mathematics. We just happen to have these numbers that add up to that in where we come from, but it means something that's higher and above and beyond just the city and the town and the part of town that we're from. I'm from the Northeast, Riverside 151. And that's 495, man. And I'm from Deuce Trey Block, 23rd Street. Now, there are a lot of 23rd Streets. Some are Crip Hoods, some are Blood Hoods. I'm from 23rd EVT. I'm from 23rd, that is Deuce Trey Block EVT. That's the central part of the city. Because though we're from the Northeast Riverside, so if you look at our city, I'm originally from the Northeast, which is the Riverside. That is the Bayside. Oh, I'm sorry. That is the Riverside. The other side of the city is the Bayside. So that would be Northwest. I'm from the Northeast, which is Riverside. If I were from the Northwest side of the city, I would be from the Bayside. I am not from the Bayside. I am from originally the Riverside. Now, I lived on the Bayside. In fact, one of our most notorious spots in the history of the West Coast was on the Bayside. Now, keep in mind, when we were on the Bayside, though we lived on the Bayside, we're originally Riverside soldiers who just got this spot. We just took up this post over on the Bayside. And when we did, we weren't the only cats there. So in other words, it wasn't just Riversiders. It wasn't just us from the Riverside on the Bayside. We had cats from the Bayside at our spot. We had cats from South EVT, okay? And other parts of the EVT, such as Central EVT. Because you gotta look at it like this. There's North, there's East, there's South, there's West, and then in the city, there's the central part of the city. 23rd Street, it's the beginning of the downtown area, more or less, okay? So 23rd Street, the significance of it is that 23rd Street technically is on both the Riverside and the Bayside. One of my homies I grew up with, in fact, several of them, they lived on 23rd on the Riverside side of 23rd. So when we moved to the Bayside side of 23rd Street, essentially, we took over the whole city. We took over the entire fucking city in terms of what we did, what we were doing, how the fuck we run shit. So back then, when the legendary Riverside Boys 151, when we fucking, it's not just boys, man, it was men and young men and women. Okay, we got a fraternity and we're connected with the sorority as well. So when Riverside started to, gain strength and power, man, and we fucking moved across Broadway, we had both sides on lock. And so we had the Northeast, we had the Northwest, and then the central part of the city on lock, because 23rd Street starts the downtown area. All right, so from 23rd to 41st Street, bro, when we connected with them cats who became allies and homies from the South End, man, we took over the city. That was it. It was game over. We fucking ran it. Because we had Northeast, we had Northwest, we had 23rd Street fucking on both sides of the city, on the Riverside and the Baysides. 23rd runs through Riverside and Bayside all the way to the West Coast, to the ocean, to the water. It runs all the way, and it runs from the Riverside, from the river to the water of the West. So just look at the map. That shit north of Seattle, we ran that. North of Seattle, we ran that shit. North of Seattle, I ain't talking about Seattle. I'm talking about north of fucking Seattle. We ran that shit all the way up to fucking Vancouver, British Columbia. We got operations in Canada as well, and we got operations in Canada as well. And y'all should know that by now. The Koch Snowflake. All right, we put Doug onto the Koch Snowflake. All right, so whatever Doug's doing, you know what I'm saying, now with whoever. Point is, we put him on from the beginning. He got put on with Chili in there, okay? Because I'm Bloods, Pyru, and UBN, West Coast, I mean, shit. Y'all think UBN is just an East Coast thing. It's not, man. It's a fucking nationwide thing. And the point is, man, is on the West Coast, we do it differently than Bloods out here on the East Coast. East Coast Bloods, they got their thing that they do. We do shit differently, and I'm not going to go into exact schematics and blueprints and details and how we do shit on the West Coast, but, Blood started out West, though. And there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of controversy and a lot of debate but I know the truth of the shit because I'm from the shit. I'm from the lineage of it. I'm from the going back to Cali fucking side of it. And the homie, little man, R.I.P., KB, Kevin Burns, that was my homie, man. And I wasn't under OG Mac. I didn't fall under OG Mac. That's not our thing out west. We weren't under OG Mac. So niggas think motherfuckers started this and they started that. Okay, yeah, we know the whole shit. We know who started this and that before niggas that came to be niggas on the East Coast. No disrespect to anyone, man, but if you gonna rep some shit, then you need to have some respect for where the shit started, and the shit started where I come from, out west, West Coast. So that's real talk. And the Cat Red Rum, from banging on wax, you feel me? Hey, the cat, you feel me? Okay, from banging on wax, from the West Coast OG, homie. Yeah, look, I'm gonna tell you like this. He say the same thing that we say, Like, I'm from north of where he from, We are north, from originally north of where he's from. Real talk, though, the shit that he says, the game that he spits, the fucking intel, the knowledge that he talks about openly on the internet, he's right about that shit, okay? Now, look, man, I'm just gonna tell you like this, Cats can do what they want, in terms of how they rep their hoods, and we can't say like, nigga, y'all ain't Bloods, cause man, we know the fucking codes and shit. You feel me? But look, where I come from, I'm just telling you like this, man. I'm just being open about this, man. Like, we ain't fives where I come from. You feel me? Like, we don't throw up five. Like, we don't do that where I come from. The neighborhood out west, the West Coast where I come from, we don't throw up fives. The homies, I know my homies, they don't throw up five. You won't see. Now look, I got homies, man, in a lot of different places. And I'm just being real with you. I'm just telling you as a matter of history. I'm not violating any oath of secrecy or anything like this. I'm telling you like this. Where I come from, we're not fives, and we don't throw up five. We don't hit up five. Does that mean that we're rivals? No. It just means that niggas in different places do what they do. We can't tell niggas on the East Coast that they ain't Bloods because, I mean, they earn their standing. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't fake, and they're not illegit. And I'm not someone who's from the West Coast who's gonna say that they ain't right and they ain't doing shit, you know what I'm saying, properly according to systems and things like this. That ain't my place to say that, All I'm saying, man, and all of that is that we don't hit up fives, man. Like, we don't throw it up like where I come from. That's not what we do. Just because we're UBN. UBN, man, is it's a nation. You feel me? It's a United Blood Nation, man, and you got different blood sets in different states. And not every blood set does the same thing or operates the same way. And I'm letting y'all know, as an audience, where I come from, the codes of our set where we be from, right? Just because we're UBN, man, you need to check the real history of when it started and then ask yourself, wait, hold up. The phenomenon of the UBN on the West, on the East Coast, like, thought it started on the East Coast according to internet legends and stories and things like this. Yeah, well, that's interesting. Then how was it in California according to FBI? How was it in California according to historical documents? How did it precede in FBI databases, how is it that it was on the West Coast before you heard about the phenomenon of it with OG Mac on the East Coast? How the fuck is it possible? Are there two UBNs? Nah, my man, there isn't. There's one. Nigga, United Blood Nations is some secret shit. It just really is. And I'm not going into details about anything secret. What I'm talking about, man, is open source intelligence information. You know, some people, man, think that United UBN was and is entirely, wholly, you know, exclusively something that was started in the prisons and shit. Was it? Was it really? I mean, according to who? You know? I mean, maybe somewhere that's what motherfuckers believe happened, you know? But I'm just telling you, man, if you look at the history of it all and you see how UBN existed for decades, I'm saying decades, bruh. I'm talking about decades. That's more than 10 years, okay? Times 2. For decades, before you ever heard about United Blood Nation, okay, on the East Coast. And I'm talking about on FBI record that it existed. How was there UBN out on the West Coast, bro? You might not have heard about it, okay, but it was on the West Coast. And it was on the West Coast for a long time before you ever heard about it on the East Coast. Now, how would that be possible if, according to your sources, it started on the East Coast? Did it really start on the East Coast? You know? First of all, like I said, UBN at its core is some secret shit. You might think you know the innermost secrets of it. You might think you know the whole fucking secrets of the temple and shit, all the secrets of the temple. I'm telling you, man, there's historic intelligence data from the United States government that tells you concretely, conclusively, and accurately, United Blood Nation was on the West Coast, bro, before you ever fucking heard about it on the East Coast. And on top of that, it wasn't a small thing. It wasn't like one or two dudes, and it wasn't a handful of dudes. UBN been around for a long time, bro. UBN been around since I was a kid, okay? And I know when I got recruited, I know the year, and it's before, and it was in the 90s before the shit you're talking about. And I know because I'm from the fucking West Coast. I'm from the neighborhoods out on the West Coast, okay, where gangs started. I'm from the mega block of cities that goes up and down the West Coast. And I've lived in California. I lived in Washington State. I've been to Oregon, okay? I've been all up and down the West Coast, man. I come from a military family, and I used to be off in the streets, man, growing up. And I spent decades out there, man, fucking growing up in the streets out there. And I lived in Chicago. You ain't gonna tell me about some lit, for real. So I'm from the West Coast, man, and I know the story of how all this shit started. And man, I mean, shit, bro. I've read all the data from all the gang historians, and I've read all the histories and all the lineage going back, man, to the OG shit, white fence, all that shit. And I've seen everything for Chicago in terms of all the data, all the whole annals of the compendium of the book. Of the tome of knowledge and information, man, in terms of the whole shit. Okay? So man, you ain't gonna tell me that the United Blood Nation, the UBN wasn't out west before you heard about it in the news and before it was a big phenomenon out here on the East Coast. So what I'm telling you, bro, is growing up out west in Blood's neighborhoods where the shit started, UBN out west, bro, don't throw up the 5. I'm not saying that because cats out here in the East do it, that they ain't Bloods. I'm not saying that. I've never said that. There's nothing anywhere in fucking history, time, space where I've said that they ain't Bloods because they throw up 5. I'm telling you, I'm saying to you, I'm explaining to you, I'm disseminating to you, the audience, that where I come from, which is where Bloods gangs started, we don't throw up the 5. We don't hit up the 5 because it's different where you go. It's different in different states. Cats got chapters, they got sets, they got sub-organizations of United Blood Nation. Okay? I'm telling you, the neighborhood that I come from, it's mostly Bloods and folks. And that's real talk. And that's on historic record. Cats I grew up with, man, OG motherfuckers and shit, man. Like old heads, like old school. That means triple OG. Bro, come on, man. I grew up in a neighborhood. Bloods, folks, Crips. That's right. You heard what I said, man. I'm talking about real Bloods, real Crips, real GDs, real folks, bro. And that's real talk. And that's how it's always been. And it's been that way before I was born. It's been that way since I was a fucking kid. Gangs been around since before I was born. And when I grew up, man, gangs were around us and shit. One of the very first gangs, man, that I ever knew about on the West Coast was this gang called the Black Widows. And these niggas used to steal, these niggas were boosters. They were stoners and shit. I used to roll with stoners too. I'm talking about fucking white boy gangs and shit, man. You know, tatted up motherfuckers, Metallica, bro. You know, later rocking fucking Metallica shirts with NWA ball caps, bro. I'm talking about stoner gangs and shit, like real shit. Niggas with fucking, you know, sticks, knives, bats, fucking brass knuckles, guns and shit. Like real shit. I knew some niggas that were boosters. And I ran with the crew for a minute, this Black Widows crew, when I was like, shit, I think 9. It was around the time, because I bought my first 9mm when I was like 8 going on 9 years old. The homie had the strap, and he was like, yo, for the bud and the skateboard, I'll give you this fucking 9. And I was like, tight. Because before that, I had a deuce. I had a 22. Later, I had a 25. And then the homie was like, yo, bro, step up your game and shit. And I was like, well, what's up? He's like, man, I got the 9mm. And I was like, ooh, that shit is filthy. What you want for that? And he's like, bro, I need some bud, and I'll take that skateboard. And I was like, bro, you gonna give me the 9? I mean, I threw in some dollars too, but I mean, shit. I mean, I got that shit black market prices done. I'm just saying, it's like, man, it's been over fucking, man, that shit's been over 30 years ago. You know what I mean? I could just be making it up. It could just be a Hollywood movie, Hollywood fucking story. Then I'm telling you here, man, to sensationalize shit like niggas who write books. And then you're like, oh, that shit was all made up. Statute of limitations. But anyway, man, growing up out west, everybody I fucking knew was armed anyway. Everybody had a strap, man, in the neighborhood that I come from. You couldn't be up in Riverside without being strapped. I mean, I knew little kids, dog. It was sick. It was like some shit out of the movies where you just see like shit. Because at some point, man, after Rodney King, we pieced it up with Crips and shit. And you know, and I've been open, man, in my story. Just like Tekashi 6ix9ine, I'll tell you the truth. I used to roll with Crips. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a Crip. But I used to be around some Crips before, and I never affiliated with them 100% and went through the initiation process, man. And you know what I'm saying? I never got put on to CRIP like that. No, I never did. And the cats who fucking recruited me, they recruited me in the Bloods, the Samoan homies, and the white boy homie. You know what I'm saying? Who was cool with the Samoans at the time, and plus I knew the Samoans because I used to I played sports. You know what I'm saying? I was a sports dude, and I've talked about this in podcasts before. But, yeah, they pulled me into Bloods because they knew that I was running with some Crips, and they didn't like it. And they was like, yo, man, Rob, Grove, stop fucking with these Crip niggas. Like, come roll with us. Like, why you hanging out with these motherfuckers and shit? You know? Nigga, next thing we know, you gonna be Crip, dog. And I was like, oh, man, you know, I just be smoking weed with them and shit. They're like, nah, fuck that shit, nigga. And so they put me on. I got put on, dog, like officially and shit, you know. And where I come from, it wasn't a crime to be part of a gang. That's why I tell you this shit openly, man. You know what I'm saying? When I got put on, it ain't like some cities where it's illegal to be in a gang. And I'm not giving you kind of legal advice and shit, and I'm not giving you any kind of business advice. I'm just saying that I got put on out west coast, real gang shit. Ain't no fake shit. Never been fake, dog. Always been real certified neighborhood shit. And so, and the other thing, man, I'm not from the burbs though. My first place, man, where I had was low income housing projects in the projects when my mother was U.S. military, you know, because my dad was never around and shit until I went and saw him in the Midwest. I mean, he'd, you know, pop up on the scene back when I was a kid, like once or twice, you know, when I was like 4 years old and shit. But he was never around. So my mother was the soldier in the family. I mean, he was a soldier. He was in the Vietnam War. You know, Army 20 plus years, but she was the soldier in my household that took care of the family and shit. You know, my sibling and I, you feel me? My mom was the soldier in my family, and she was a woman that you know did man's work. You know, She was a fucking real soldier that handled fucking business, you know, and took care of us and shit. And at the time, man, we were low income. So we lived in the projects, man. We lived in the low income housing projects and shit. And she went back to school. She got her degree. And we moved out of the projects, man. And we bought a home. We bought a house, standalone, 3-bedroom family home, man, in the burbs, in the suburbs. But before that, I lived in the projects. And even when we lived in the burbs, even when we got a condo, you know, and a house and shit, because we had a condo, we bought a house, standalone, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I had, like I always tell people, I had an uncle who was well off, kind of like an Uncle Phil, you know, from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I had an uncle and shit. He owned a printing company, and he took me up to Canada with his sons and my sibling. You know what I mean? He took us to Expo 86. He took us to Disneyland, and he's a real man. Like, he's a real dude, you know what I'm saying? And was always very kind and generous. So, you know, I mean, I had opportunities, man, and privileges and things like that. So I never lie and say that I didn't have those types of, access to those types of, like, resources, like family and stuff like that. I'm just saying like this, though. Like, even so, like, coming from the West Coast, it doesn't matter socioeconomically what kind of family you come from. Gangs are everywhere. You walk outside your house in Beverly Hills, there's motherfucking gangs out there, bro. Like, for real. Like, they might not be, like, right out there, but they're right out there. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of cats, man. Like, they got preppy white boy gangs. Like, there's been movies made about it. Like, there's preppy white boy gangs that ain't playing. And they fuck with niggas in the streets, like, on some gang ally shit. Like, there's every kind of fucking gang you can think of out west. They got every motherfucking thing you could think of out west, bro. They got motorcycle outlaw biker gangs. They got preppy white boy gangs that are no joke, you know? Nigga, don't think just because they preppy white boys, man, they don't be on some code shit. Like, they got organized shit. Niggas be, like, on the books, like, dog. Like, I'm talking running business, enterprise, without going into their business. I'm telling you, man, you can look it up and source it. Fucking open source intel. So, yeah, man, you know, you be out there in the shit, you know, on the streets. You might come from a middle-class family. You might come from upper-class family. And you just be at a party and shit. And then you meet some gangsters. And you be like, yo, man, I like the lifestyle. I want to be in it. I want to be part of it. And they put you on, man, and you be out there, you know. And I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just telling you what I grew up in. I'm telling you, man, about my backstory and my history and where we come from. You know, and I'm telling you, man, I didn't start off in the suburbs. I started off in the fucking projects in the hood. And even when we were balling and we were making money and shit, I mean, fuck, dog, even when we lived in the suburbs and even when, you know what I'm saying, we had, bigger homes and, you know, home and better things, man, you know? I mean, shit, the way it works out west, man, is like, look, if somebody come from an upper class family and they got to buy some dope or something because they sadly got some kind of, like, opioid addiction or, you know, something, they need a fix, right? They got to go off a lot of times, man, in the neighborhood or have someone come to them. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of back and forth, like, cross-sectional shit. You know what I'm saying? And depending on how motherfuckers balling, like, I'll take 50 dudes, man. We roll out to the hood, like, even when we're in the burbs, you know? Maybe even have, like, a gang meeting and shit and call up, like, 150 motherfuckers. We meet at a park. We just go out to, like, we might go down to some spot, man. There might be an issue. And I tell niggas like, yo, man, there's something going down, man. I need y'all to link up here. And we just converge, man, at some point. You know what I mean? And we're coming from the suburbs going back to the hood, back to the ghetto, right? I mean, bro, like, I know preppy white boys strapped up armed that be in some of the most dangerous who be in the most dangerous gang fucking infested, gang ridden, gang plagued neighborhoods in America. That's what this thing, man, you know, Jamie Kennedy in these movies, like Malibu's Most Wanted, there's a different side to this shit, though. You got niggas, man, that are white boy gangsters that be, man, highly organized, though. And they got ghetto passes, though, for real. And they fuck with niggas in neighborhoods. And they be on some highly organized shit. And I'm not talking about suckers. I'm talking about legit gangsters. You know, shit that's not often depicted in movies and stuff like this, because a lot of y'all niggas just watch a bunch of Hollywood bullshit. But out west, man, come on, bro. The reality is that, man, you just be out west, man, and it might be a whole neighborhood of white boy gangsters. And I'm talking real niggas, like real white boy niggas that ain't on nothing fake. And they connected and you know, real niggas be like, yo, let's go fuck with them white boys over there and, you know, and get the money in with them and be on some truce shit, some alliance shit. I'm talking about a whole neighborhood. You think I'm playing until you get into different parts of the West Coast and you be out in like different neighborhoods and you see like hella white boys on the stoop, on the porch and shit, out on the set. Niggas armed up, you know? And you just be like, what? Who the fuck is these motherfuckers? And they ain't playing. They connected. And they run it just like anybody else run it. And they are not fucking around. And they be on some codes, though. You best know them codes in the neighborhoods, man. Because that shit is, and it's multi-generational, too. Look, I'm not glorifying it. I'm telling you it's the Wild West out west, man. Even to this day. The history of it is some real shit. I'm talking about, you can't be fooled by these movies where you see all this like segregated shit where it's like, oh, you know, neighborhoods is all black motherfuckers and shit. It just be black African-American gangs. Come on, dude. Stop it. Stop being stupid, man. You think California just got black gangs and Latino gangs? Come on, man. We're talking about a state with 40 million people in it. 40 million people in it. 40 million people in the state of California. And plus, Northern California is like it's its own country, and Southern California is like it's its own country, okay? That's just California, which is twice the number of people who live in the entire state of New York. You got twice as many people living in California than you have living in New York. Now, check this out. There's not just California. Then you got Oregon. You got Idaho. You got Montana. You got Arizona. You got Las Vegas, Nevada. You got Washington State. You got Alaska, homie. Niggas is banging in Alaska, dog. In remote parts of the country where you wouldn't, and by the way, Alaska's 2.54 times the size of Texas, homeboy. I said 2.5 times, 2.5 times the size of Texas, motherfucker, okay? It's a big ass territory. In fact, it's the largest fucking state in the union. Though it doesn't look as such on the map, right? A lot of times, the way it's depicted, it looks small. They put in a little corner, little window, little cutout and shit, right? Come on, bro. Look at the state of Texas. Double it and then half it, okay? And then another half. That's the size of Texas. Or I'm sorry, the size of fucking Alaska. You got niggas banging on wax and banging in the streets in Alaska, bro. What happened was, man, drugs, okay? Drugs. And the drug business industry empires of America, they fueled these communities, and they spawned these generations of these gangs. They created and resulted in these generations of and these lineages of these gangs, these histories of gangs. Gangs had to go somewhere other than California. They couldn't all just stay in California, so they migrated outward, man. They went to places like Oklahoma. They went to places like Kansas, banging in Little Rock. They went to places like Minnesota, you know, Minneapolis, and, you know, fucking, and then the Midwest always had its own gangs, you know, its own organizations. And then you got the crossover. You got cats connecting up with the, you know, gangs connecting with other gangs and shit, with their histories. The East Coast, shit, the movie, the gangs of New York. Come on, man. Gangs have been around since time immemorial, man. They used to be called clans. And, you know, not every gang operates the same, man, and not every gang, you know, you got clubs and shit. You got biker clubs, and biker gangs, and you got niggas that get together, man, and they don't all commit crimes. Some niggas just hang out on the block, man, and they call themselves this and that, and they drink some brews and smoke some weed, and they ain't doing boosts, and they ain't breaking and entering, and they ain't fucking jacking, and they ain't, you know, selling guns and drugs and shit. Some niggas just be about parties and shit. Just party sets, man, you know? And some of them got, you know, some of them are sanctioned to be like, y'all niggas is with us, and we accept that, and we acknowledge that, and y'all fall under this, and y'all be part of this nation and shit. Y'all be part of this, and they're officially gangs. You know, they just don't be actively involved in crimes and doing the shit that some of the other gangs, you know, be doing. So there's a huge history, man, and the homie Spank T, the homie Spank T, man, is triple OG. Spank motherfucking T He came up with that, you know? I mean, look, man, growing up, we all had our monikers and our code names and our street names and shit like that, right? And you know, Spank motherfucking T is derived from, you know, Spanky and shit. But when he got his moniker, because the homies get, like, I got my moniker because cats in North EVT in the projects, they gave me the moniker. They told me I was Grover. They're like, yo, you Grove, dog. And I was like, what? You know, I've talked about this before. They gave it. I didn't give it to myself. I altered it, you know. I was like, yo, man, so look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop the R, you know what I'm saying? Grove is cool, because they used to call me Grove. They're like, Grover. And, man, I was a skateboarder, though. I used to be a fucking, a punk rock, fucking, skate, thrash, fucking metalhead, fucking, you know what I'm saying, rocker, skater, rapper dude. And fucking, before I was ever fucking in a bona fide hardcore West Coast fucking US street gang, I was a semi-professional skateboarder. I skated all up and down the West Coast. I was skating in Oakland, California, man. Look it up on the map. Look up the Webster and the Posey. You see them tubes that go under the bay, under the water there? I used to skate through them jumps. You weren't supposed to walk under there because of the, you know, the carbon monoxide, the carbon output from the cars and shit. I used to do it all the time. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to skate this shit. Fuck these signs. I used to skate out in Hayward, California, skated in Alameda. Man, I used to skate all over the fucking place, man, up and down the coast. I used to skate on Interstate 5. I'm talking on the highway, like illegal shit. I used to skateboard on the motherfucking interstate. Motherfuckers look over like, whoa, this black kid skating and shit on the interstate. Wow, that's weird. Yeah, man, I used to do the extreme sports shit. And so anyway, the name Spank T is derived from Spanky. And it's a play off that. And so Spank T, just like me, when he got the name from the homies, he's like, I accept that. But yo, check this out. I'm going to alter it a little bit. Y'all motherfuckers call me Spank motherfucking T. And we're like, bet, dog. So that became his actual moniker, is Spank motherfucking T. And Spank motherfucking T is on multiple projects, man, with the 495, because he is 495. And he is from the Riverside, and he is a real Riverside soldier, and he got that shit tatted, and he's from the hood, bro, and he's legit, and he's fucking always been real, you know? So yeah, man, you know, I gave shout outs and props to Sen. I talked about how Sendo, you know what I'm saying, from 495, Criminal Alliance, you know, real Riverside soldier 151. Had him come on the show because he's also 495, you know. And Spank motherfucking T, he rapped with Sen. He rapped with Sen the Soul Stealer, with the brown skin demon. Spank motherfucking T is on the rap Deep in Everett 1. The cat rapping at the very beginning of Deep in Everett 1. Yeah, that's Spank motherfucking T. He said, yeah, man, I ain't gonna do his verse. Just listen to his verse. That shit is legendary. He's like, deuce, bitch. Yeah, hey. Spank motherfucking T is the homie. And I just rapped with him today about this New York business operation, 495 and whatnot. And yeah, so that's why, man, when I was reminiscing with him, I said, you know what, man, I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to give Spank motherfucking T from 495 his props up on the podcast and make a whole podcast basically about Spank motherfucking T, just like I did for Rosendo. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, because, man, he's that legendary of a character, of a cat. You know, the homie, Spank motherfucking T. 495, bro. 1.